Breaking news about the woman who was in charge from the IRS during the Tea Party targeting is now running the IRS Obamacare implementation. Is that a good choice?
Well, look, first of all, this ought to tell you that this certainly reaches up into the White House. I mean, does anybody, any serious person believe that the top-ranking Internal Revenue Service person in charge of implementing Obamacare was just casually picked? Does anyone think that there was any disapproval of what she was doing to stop conservative groups, Tea Party groups, some of whom, there's a 27-month period when not a single Tea Party gets certified by the Internal Revenue Service. 27 months, over 2 years. Now, does anybody seriously believe that the person in charge of doing that, who, by the way, got $100,000, technically $103,000 in bonuses for having done a great job, do you really believe that she was picked to implement Obamacare at the Internal Revenue Service, where there's a huge buildup of staff to make sure that they can track every single person in America on the health side, that she was picked without the White House's approval? It's inconceivable, and I hope that the Congress is going to demand every single email, every conversation, every decision document relating to her being picked for that job. It is clearly going to lead directly into the White House.
How? Well, that's pretty profound. How significant, in your view, Mr. Speaker, is it that they knew about this for such a long period of time before the election?
Look, go back and look at every Democratic senator who was writing letters demanding that the Internal Revenue Service inspect carefully all of these groups. There are a lot of Democratic senators who were part of the pressure to do this. Look at the George Soros-funded organizations on the left. They were demanding the Internal Revenue Service do this. Go back and look at the president and vice president's hysterical language, smearing and attacking these groups. I keep reminding people, this is an administration which refuses to profile terrorists, even though 30 out of 31 of the top FBI wanted terrorists all have the same characteristics. But you can't profile them or tell you about it because that would be inappropriate. But they were profiling words like patriot, constitution. I mean, it is unimaginable how corrupted the Internal Revenue Service had become culturally by this left-wing bias against conservatism.
You talked earlier about how they inevitably and predictably will go after those that are seeking the truth or seeking answers. Strategically, and you often think strategically, what do you recommend the Republicans do in anticipation of that as they try to get answers? I think we need answers on Benghazi. I think we need answers on the AP and certainly this IRS scandal. How do they handle that?
Well, look, I think the leadership, for example, of people like Darrell Issa, who's done a great job on the Investigation Oversight Committee as chairman, with the things John Boehner's been doing recently and that we see Eric Cantor doing, I think they're moving in the right direction. I think Dave Camp at Ways and Means is going to do some great stuff. But I think the key is to slow down. This story has to be thoroughly understood by the American people. I hope the Ways and Means Committee over the next 2 or 3 months will bring in every single group that was sabotaged by the Internal Revenue Service. Let the country see how many different groups, and by the way, not just Tea Party groups, but I just got a note today from a friend who had a conservative pro-national security group that had exactly the same kind of treatment, the same kind of harsh behavior from the Internal Revenue Service. There are some donors, frankly, who are being treated unbelievably harshly. They should be brought in. And let's look, and I think a lot of decision documents need to be pulled forward. A lot of people have to testify. They can't get away on the Democratic Party side with claiming it was 1 or 2 people. There were a lot of people involved in this, and we need to look at all of them.
I like the idea. Let people come in. Let the country hear their stories, what they went through, and then we'll go from there. I think that's a good strategy.